All right, welcome to Talkin' Investing. I am Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to talk about Bitcoin, the Bitcoin miners, and most specifically, I want to talk about a relief rally and how that relates to what we're in the middle of. So it's a lot to cover, but I'll try and make it quick. So please remember, before we get started, if you are not yet subscribed, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Also, if everybody could smash the like button, it helps out very much, and it gets this video to more people. So I really appreciate it. Before we get to the Bitcoin chart and the Bitcoin big board, I want to talk about the relief rally, and I want to talk about a lot of the catalysts of what have been going on and why we are where we are. So the most important thing I think to start is, what is a relief rally? Because there's a lot of confusion around this, and right now there's an awful lot of people that think we are not moving in the right direction overall in the economy. So any talk of a rally just doesn't seem to make sense to them, and I understand that. There's still a lot of headwinds ahead of us in the economy. I don't think any of the information necessarily that came out over the last few weeks is telling us that the end is in sight and great things are ahead. We got a lot more work to do probably. So that's a macro level, and that's going to tell us where we're going to go for the next 3 months, 6 months, a year. We have had monumental downward pressure. In the middle of that, if you remember, there was 2 weeks at the end of March where everything moved up quite a bit, and that was a relief rally. So at that time, Bitcoin moved all the way back up to $48,000. So I think we're in the middle of one of those right now. So let me tell you what's happened over the last week that I think has given us some more window of opportunity here. Now, we just had a very big move up. So even if it ends here, we have had a relief rally. We moved from about 17,500 up to about 24,000 on Bitcoin from the low to the high. So I want to go to this earnings chart, which I talked about Monday morning. Part of a relief rally is just a period of time inside of all this bad news where, for a brief period, two things happen. Number one, some of the news comes in and it either meets your expectation and it's already priced in, or it's not as bad as expected. And then you have sometimes a period where there's not a lot of news coming at you. So if you can combine those two things together, one following the other, that's where you can get a little bit of an extended relief rally. So I want to go through all the news that came in that was really putting massive pressure. It all started with CPI a few weeks ago, and that came in very hot. That was 9.1. That is a 40-year high. So that number was not good. We thought it was going to go up, and it was even worse than expected. So that's where I think we really started to price in a lot of this bad news. But from there, we've had a series of data that's come in that I think has met expectations or is better than expectations. So particularly, I want to just go through this week real quick. Walmart gave their forecast, and it was a little bit gloomy. So Monday was a down day in the market. It was a down day in Bitcoin. So the week started out pretty tough. However, a series of things happened after that that really led us to a massive move to the upside. So on Tuesday, you'll see Alphabet, which is Google, and Microsoft reported. Both of those earnings were mixed. They did not beat on earnings, but their forecast was just fine. The market seemed to like what they heard with those two earnings reports, even though, again, they did miss by a little bit, but their forecast was not gloom and doom like Walmart was the day before, and there seemed to be a little bit of light. In addition to that, we had a few other big companies that were very consumer related that had very good earnings and did beat. So Coca-Cola, which is an enormous company and obviously very consumer driven, they beat on earnings and they raised their forecast, and McDonald's the same thing. So those are two big companies that have an awful lot to do with the consumer, and it's really the consumer that people are most worried about in this recessionary type environment and high inflation type environment. So it's consumer spending that we're worried is going to shrink and contract, and that causes a lot of the downward pressure in the market. In addition to that, obviously, we were about Fed raising rates to combat that inflation that's going on, so that's also worrisome. Tuesday was a mixed bag, but it was just fine. There was no bad news Tuesday, and it was maybe just a little bit better than expected. The market, after hours, reacted positively to these two big earnings reports from Alphabet and Microsoft. Then Wednesday was the big day. First, I'll talk about the little thing. Meta reported that did not go well. They did have a not good quarter, and that was expected. However, that was overshadowed by the fact that Wednesday, of course, was the Fed and Jerome Powell. So the Fed did 75 basis points, which is exactly what everybody thought. As he talked after the meeting, he really didn't say anything scary. In fact, quite the opposite. It was very calm. He said he did not feel we were in a recession. So this has been one of the big topics of the week, which is going to lead me to the next thing I'm talking about. Obviously, next month there is no meeting. That's another piece of this relief rally. By not having a meeting next month, that takes the pressure off of the marketplace having to price in potential rate hikes. So immediately after that meeting, Bitcoin had a massive move to the upside. Over the next, basically the rest of that day, over the next 24 hours, Bitcoin was up about $2,000. So for those of you who watch the channel and watch the daily updates, we had called that right before that meeting. So that did work out exactly like we hoped it would. So GDP was negative. So it came in at negative 0.9. That is the second quarter in a row of negative GDP. And you've probably heard all year long everybody talking about how 2 quarters in a row of negative GDP is a recession. So for whatever reason, essentially the talking points changed over the last few days and culminated on Thursday, where they announced GDP, but basically everybody from top down in the government, including the President of the United States himself, came out and said, this is not a recession. That, I think, also took some of the pressure off in the short term. Not to mention getting all of this data behind us. That was a lot of data. Getting all that data behind us, put that in the rearview mirror, good news, bad news, otherwise, at least we were informed. For the most part, there was no surprises to the downside at all. And then the last piece of the puzzle is on Thursday after hours, Apple and Amazon reported, and they both beat on earnings, and Amazon beat significantly, and they had excellent guidance going forward. So that really counterbalanced what Walmart had started the week out, which was a gloom and doom report on Monday that their forecast was not great. Amazon had the opposite. They beat on earnings, they beat on revenue, they raised their guidance, so they're up 10, 11, 12% today, and that is driving the market. The market is having another up day. So far, we're about midway through the day, and Bitcoin is a bit sideways. However, I do think that's some consolidation due to the fact that we just had such a huge run up that the indicators are taking a moment to take a breather and reset themselves a little. But I think there's a real possibility that the next leg is still up. So now we really don't have any data coming out until CPI on August 10th. So that is like 12 days from now. So between now and then, there is no scheduled data to come out that would derail or, potentially have negative impact on the stock market and on the cryptocurrencies. So obviously, world events can happen at any time. So sometime in those, a little bit less than 2 weeks, something else could happen and switch the narrative of what's going on. But right now, if for some reason that CPI data comes in better than expected, the relief rally could continue even past then. I do believe this is a relief rally, so the main thing I want to say is, obviously this is not financial advice, so, please do your own due diligence before investing. But mainly I want to say the key is this is a relief rally. I do not believe that it's all up from here and the worst is behind us. There's a lot of obstacles that lie ahead over the coming months and potential year. So we'll have to see how the market does in general. But right now I'm looking at a smaller time frame, right? And I tend to be a long-term investor. So, I have my buy and hold stocks and I'm not doing anything with those things. But for me, I do like to buy and sell options during these periods where I think there could be big moves over short periods of time. And this to me looks like a relief rally that's already happened as far as the cryptocurrency world has gone. So this is Bitcoin on the 15-minute time frame, and you'll see, as always, there's an orange line where we closed yesterday. So when the equity markets closed yesterday, Bitcoin was at 23,790. You can see it has been just tied to this line ever since. We're basically almost at it right now. We're in the middle of the trading day. We've been a little bit above it, a little bit below it. We just had this giant move up in a 3-day window. So that was 17, almost 18%. So it's no surprise to me that today we're going a little bit sideways and having some consolidation. So what we're going to have to see from here is a part of our goal was to take out this green line right here at 24,277. We did candle wick above it, but we have not yet taken it out. My line that I was looking for was for us to get back to this blue line right here, which is 25,366. So I still think we're going to be in a period of consolidation today. And I think over the weekend, we stand a very good chance of taking this line out. This extended period of time under the 200-week moving average has never happened before in the history of Bitcoin. So this has been an exceptionally bearish period. Well, we did have a 2-day period where we caught all the way up, got above the 200-week moving average, closed the daily candle above it, and then had another daily candle yesterday open and close above the 200-week moving average. Despite the fact that today's candle, you can see, although it is red, it is basically almost exactly flat on the day today. So that's the consolidation that I'm talking about. But again, unless something drastic happens, we are going to open and close well above the 200-week moving average. So those are all steps in the right direction. We talked about this blue line. That is our first price target. That's my price target, hopefully for Monday or Tuesday of next week. Then, if we do get some other good news, and particularly if this rally continues and the CPI data comes in better than expected on August 10th, then I do think this line up here at 28.8 is at play. That is a stretch. That is about as high as I'm expecting to go in a relief rally, which is still what I believe we're in. So some of you may believe this is a reversal and we're moving out of a bear market into a bull market. So if you believe that, then that won't be the end of the run. I'm still thinking this is a very strong, very overdue relief rally. So I think it does have some room left. I think at least to this blue line. And then, if we get lucky, maybe to this red line up here at 28.8. So that would be a significant move from where we are right now to the blue price target at 25,300. That is a 7% move to the upside. If we were to get back to 28.8, that would be another 20% move to the upside for Bitcoin. So that would mean from the bottom on June 18th to the top, that would actually be a 63% rally. That's a very large relief rally. Most of these relief rallies tend to be more 40-45%. If I measure from the bottom back on June 17th to the blue target line that I have, then that would be more along the lines. That's about 43 or 44%. So I do think that is very realistic. We're going to have to wait and see what happens. So I just wanted to explain the big picture of why I think we still have some upside left. So again, this is not financial advice. We could get bad news tomorrow that has nothing to do with any of this, and it changes the whole picture. So, that's always the case with the market. So everybody, please do your own due diligence and be careful. Those are my thoughts and hopes for the next couple of weeks. We'll have to see how this plays out, and obviously, I'll be watching this closely. So if you made it this far, remember to subscribe to the channel and smash the like button. And thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.